Yeah, hello, everyone, and welcome to the Hardcore Metal Detecting Radio Show. I'm Derek Askler, and Mr. Craig Tyler is on the line there. We'll be hosting the show tonight. Pretty much open lines tonight. If you'd like to call in with a topic, comment, question, story of your last hunt, feel free to do it. Call in at 352-504-4170, and we'll get you on the air here. I already see you guys are already getting on the chat line there. If you want to do that, just go to Spreaker.com and click on Hardcore Metal Detecting and click on the comment part of it. You probably have to be logged in, but then you can get in on chat. I already see Jason on here tonight and Larry Stewart, Ken Guthrie, right? I believe that is. Ken, if I messed up your last name, I'm sorry. I do that quite often on last names. But, yeah, they're already on chat right there, and I'm sure Bill and the rest of the guys will be on there pretty soon. So, Craig, you've been out hunting for a couple days now, right, haven't you? Getting out of there a little bit?
I just trying to see if I can find something from all that rain we've had.
Oh, I'm telling you.
Maybe pull something up, but Mike's done pretty good. He got a bullet the other day.
Oh, that's good. At least something.
Kind of a squash 3-ringer,
but
it wasn't that deep, but it read like, I think it was, he said something like 48 or 38 on the meter.
Really?
And
seems a little low.
Weird. Yeah, he sounded weird. It's below nickel. And,
right.
Out of the ground, it read pretty much like a regular bullet. A little bit lower, and we weighed it, and looks like part of the end of it was like cut off or something. It looks like something.
Carving on it or something, or?
I don't know. It's also got like a dent in it, like where it was crushed down on it, flattened a little bit.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So,
it happens. You seem to always find those, Craig. You always find the ones that have been carved into chess pieces or checker pieces. Yeah, no, I mean, you always seem to find them.
Yeah.
Don't mind me. I'm trying to get over here to the air condition, turn it off here so we don't. There it goes. Okay. Sorry about that, guys. Couldn't find the remote. Gets a little noisy in here with that thing going. Got those window shakers going. But yeah, as far as those bullets go, you found several of them over the years that have been, carved, trench art, whatever you want to call it. I've always thought those were pretty neat. It shows a lot of character in the find,
I got one down in Stafford a couple of years ago, and a guy took a round ball and put dimples all over it, and it was like little round balls. He carved it so it's like little balls all around it, and it would sit, perfectly. Any way you turned it, it would, wouldn't wobble or anything.
Got bored.
Yeah, but I found a lot of bullets just cut in half, or cut long ways, or just. I don't know. The guys were bored. They were just messing around.
Yeah, using a lot of time for fishing weights, too. If you guys get near rivers or ponds or whatever like that, you'll find them made into fishing weights and stuff like that, 3-ringers and 69 calibers and stuff.
Mike got one where they pounded the tip flatter and then drilled a hole through it.
Yeah.
And there's a spring about maybe, 50 feet away. So it was a major spring during the, all the way back to the founding of the town and stuff.
Yeah.
But it looked like it's been filled in, and there was an alley put over it over the years. So over part of it. So.
Yeah, I haven't even been able to get out. It's been rain. Well, yesterday and today have been nice. I can't complain about that. But before that, man, seems like this was really funny, Craig. It rained for like 3 days, 4 days, on and off. I mean, heavy rain, light rain, and everything. I went over there to help them out at the VFW, and I was we have these posts in the ground parking area, and I was just trying to straighten them out and paint them again before Memorial Day because it was supposed to rain and everything. I wanted to make sure they were looking good. And I didn't even dig down maybe an inch, and the ground is bone dry still. And it rained for 3 or 4 days straight, and we're supposed to get a foot of rain from this tropical storm coming in. I guess I haven't even watched the news, so I think it's supposed to be here Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, whenever the weatherman says it isn't going to be here, it will be. But you know how that goes. But yeah, it just, I can't believe the ground's not more somewhat saturated anyway. It's not even damp. It's like just totally bone dry. I was like, wow, okay, I didn't never expected that. I figured, 3 or 4 days of rain, it would have, got in there a little bit. But I think a lot of it come down to so fast, it just rolled right off the top of the ground, didn't have time to absorb. And, I know we need the rain bad. I mean, grass is finally coming back and stuff, but I just wanted to get the rain out of its system so I can get out there and do some detecting. I'm wanting to get this Quest Pro out there and put it through its paces. I got a site for it. A guy told me I can hunt this area, and I'm going to hunt the old horseshoe pit of all things. Horseshoes. They used to be real popular and everything, but I got a place that has I don't know, it's like 5 or 6 rows. It's all dirt except for right around the horseshoe pit. They got it framed in, but I said I don't know. I'll probably find a whole lot of pull tabs, that kind of thing. But yeah, you never know. You might find some a couple of rings in there or something else. Coins and stuff. So I figured I'd take the Quest Pro out there and play a while when the weather clears up a little bit and I'm not so busy. That really sucks when you have a honey-do list that's as long as your arm, right? So gotta try to get out there with it. You heard you were just talking about it before the show, Craig. They were rating detectors or something. What? I thought that was pretty interesting myself.
It was a site where they were talking about different detectors, and then somebody said they asked all the people to list the detectors they had. Mm-hmm. And so, it's one of those sites where most people, have a lot of machines. So I noticed there was like 5 guys that had Quest, mm-hmm. Quest 40, and so there was a couple of people were asking the people, hey, how you like that Quest? And one guy, or 2 of the guys said that it was a really good machine, especially for the money. And one guy said that he had a lot of machines, and it was starting to be his go-to machine now.
Yeah, it's got
and he had, I noticed he had a Deus, he had a T2, he had, a fair amount of. I think he had a CTX 3030 also. But I think if people are talking about that, like. For the 40, I'd like to see what the Pro can do.
Yeah. I was impressed with it because it's not that it's getting well for the money, it's getting dang good depth. It's I don't know. It's got something with it that it has nuance to it. It has recovery delay. It doesn't jump around like a lot of the machines I had as far as the VDIs and stuff like that. It pretty much locks on. Within reason, 5 numbers one way or the other, but I'll take that any day of the week versus 30 numbers. But I'm glad there's a few of them getting out there and trying it because it just there's something about this machine that's I haven't put my finger on it yet, but it's definitely worth the money. I tell you that much. I mean, if you're getting into metal detecting, I mean, this is like getting a mid-level machine, upper mid-level machine for like a low-end price, really. I was looking at them online. I got them on SeriousDetecting.com if you guys want to check them out. And he has a lot of other detectors on there too. There was something about that machine that I really like. I told Craig I'm going to send it up to him and let him play for a while and see what it does. Because, well, heck, Mike's using a Deus and you're using a Bliss tool, and I just kind of wanted to see what the unmasking capabilities were if you're going to get anything else with it because it's so fast that I didn't seem to have any problem at all. As far as getting in between targets and stuff, especially with that blade or that blade coil, that small one. It's like a 5x9 or something like that, or 5x7, I think it is. I can't remember off the top of my head, but it's small enough. It's like kind of like our 7x9 with the Bliss tool. You can get right in there with it. So kind of keep an eye on that in some of those videos and see what these guys are doing with it because I haven't been able to get out or I've been out already with it. But that Quest Pro, man, I tell you. Better than the Quest 40, and the Quest 40 is pretty good. So I want to get some more practice in with that Pro. It's actually really, I was surprised about that. It was really easy to understand as far as the screen goes. Everything's on there. You don't have to pan through. Pretty much put the little dot on it. You move it around. It has a little dot that goes by the setting that you want. And boom, you're right there. So I thought that was pretty easy, self-explanatory or whatever. It wasn't like you had to go pan down through and move over sections and everything. Some of those detectors got a little crazy with that, about 5 or 6 years ago with these, making adjustments and stuff, what you have to do it. And it got confusing for a lot of people. So I was glad they're making it a little bit easier. I think the Equinox may be like that also, where you can kind of pan around and get the stuff a lot more easier if you're not, experienced with metal detectors and stuff. It makes it quite easy for you compared to a lot of them. So, but yeah, I want to get out there with it and see what. I need to take it to a hunted out spot, I guess, Craig, is what I really ought to do. I shouldn't even take it to a busy spot yet. Just get used to it. It's kind of hard you get chomping at the bit to go out metal detecting, and then you get shut down by the rain. So you're just wanting to go everywhere, right? So, yeah, one of our friends, she has 3 sons. They're stair steppers from 3 to 12, and I went over there today to mow the lawn out there, and they already said, "Hey, are you bringing those metal detectors over yet? I want to see the metal detectors." I'm like, okay, so I guess I got to make a day for them. I may do that. Just go to their yard, let them play around a little bit, and I'll do a little bit with the Quest Pro and see what happens. But they're all excited about it. They're like, "Oh, we need what Mr. Derek has. He goes out there to the beach and he has metal he finds gold and everything." I just had to laugh. Their mom was like, "Yeah, he finds all kinds of gold. That's why," because you know how that is, Craig. You don't go out there and find it every time, so. I was showing some of the finds. I brought some over, some of those Civil War bullets and stuff, and they just thought it was the neatest thing. Well, the little one didn't. He doesn't know what, he's 3 years old, but the older ones thought it was just the coolest thing in the world, those bullets and stuff. So they're at that age. I say, yeah, I'll get you in there. See what's in your yard. He goes, "Oh, I know there has to be stuff here because I lost pennies this year and I lost a quarter last year." So it's funny, you sit back and smile because they're getting so excited about it. It's like you are about Civil War stuff, Craig. It's like, "Oh, I gotta go." So it's nice to see them, wanting to have fun and everything. So I told her I just got to drop off that Quest 20 over there, and I'll show them how to use it and let them play because they're getting out of school. Heck, all the kids down here are getting out of school within a week. So summer vacation time, and won't have no school buses to wait on now, right? So that's been.
Yeah, we had a bunch of flags put up, all up down there Main Street for 10 blocks, American flags, and I was going, I wonder what day it is, and they go, "Oh, it's going to be Memorial Day."
Yeah, Monday, buddy.
Yeah.
We're getting ready to put on our normal. We're with the VFW 10137 down here in Bushnell, Florida, but we're right down literally like a mile and a half from the National Cemetery. So we always have 600, 700, 800 people come through, and we're going to have the food and the music and all that stuff going. And when they get done in the cemetery, because they'll have 80,000. Well, if it rains, I don't know, but last year they had 80,000 people down there. So they come in from all over, obviously. But it's a good day to hang out, and we go down there to the cemetery for a while, and then we come back up. And of course, we do the flag thing and everything. But yeah, Pauline actually, she was the voted in auxiliary president for our auxiliary post here in Bushnell. But we went over to the District 7. It's our district. It's like 8 or 9 VFWs. She actually is an officer of the district now too. So she didn't even know about that. It's kind of neat. They kind of nominated her, and she had no clue. So she's doing really good. She does a really good job with all the, she goes to the nursing homes and stuff like that. Sees the vets there, and the kids, getting them involved in the coloring contest and everything. One of our students, I think he's I want to say a 4th grader, already made it through district. Now it's going to state. Patriotic stuff, the coloring contest and the essays they write, and we give out scholarships and stuff like that too to the older kids and art projects and stuff. So she's quite involved in all that. So I'm really proud of her. She's done. Anybody, a lot of you guys have met Pauline. She's like a force of nature. Craig, you have to say that she's a force of nature. She'll get stuff done. So,
oh yeah,
yeah, she's definitely in her element. She does a good job. So. Me, I just won. I got in there and I was like, they said, you want to run for office or any kind of office? I said, yeah, I'll be the conductor of the meetings. I don't have a lot of time, so I could be there for the meetings and stuff like that. So I didn't want to. They wanted me to be treasurer, and I'm like, no, I'm not doing that route. That's a lot of pressure for me. I don't like dealing with other people's money and stuff like that. It makes me nervous, so I don't do that part of it.
I don't blame you.
Yeah, I did it for I was part of the shoot, what do you call it? Oh my gosh, my brain's just shot. The community center over here. I was a treasurer for there, and I decided then after I resigned from that position, gave it on to somebody else because it was like crazy keeping up with all those receipts and stuff. My hat's off to anybody that does that. Whew, that can fry your mind when you start trying to add everything up, make sure all the numbers are right. I always tell them, I said, well, the IRS don't care if you're $1 off or $1,000 off; they'll still come after you, right? So
Yeah.
I just want to leave it alone. But yeah, I had that one spot out there that I did at the VFW, and I found I need to go back out there. I only took one trip. You never get even an idea about a spot until you get out there 2 or 3 times, anyways. But I was finding a lot of like Matchbox cars, but they were from like the 40s, like the Tootsie cars and stuff. 20, or I think it was 30s and 40s. I found a couple of those. They're broken up pretty bad, but I think it's got the possibility for some silver coins and stuff if I'm finding those Tootsie cars. So those are just, well, Craig, you know more about the cars. Weren't the Tootsie cars one of the first, like, Matchbox size cars, or did they have more out before that?
I've dug them, back to probably 1920s.
Oh, yeah, I mean, I didn't know if the kind of car.
Different kinds of metal cars. And
right.
all kinds of stuff. But the Tootsie cars, I don't know. They probably ran after World War II, maybe.
Yeah, I think I saw some. I think I saw them in 1930s. They had a few out, but then I'd found 6 or 7 of them. All the dragster and a little compact car, all the neater ones. They actually had the wheels on them still. You don't usually find them with the wheels. But the die-cast cars I found from the 20s, I think it was the 20s, I had 30s, sorry, 30s. It was a die-cast pickup truck. It was the size of, but I would say a good 5-6 inches long. It was not a full-size pickup. You know what I'm talking about. It's definitely bigger than a Matchbox car. But it actually had a lot of the original paint on it. Of course, it was rusted up a little bit, but it did have all the tires and stuff. One of my the guys at the Historical Society over here, a friend of mine, and he says, man, that would look really great. The kids would love that. So I donated it over there. I don't really collect that kind of thing. And it was dented up a little bit, but it was nowhere near what you would think it would be being that big. But that's one of the ones I dug shoulder deep, just banging signal, because it's a big target too. It's about the size of a little bit bigger than a beer can, obviously, with width and length. So it puts off a good signal. But yeah, shoulder deep on that bugger. I don't even know how it would get down that deep, but unless they buried it themselves, maybe. You know how kids are. So I was happy. That lot was impressive with the stuff I was finding in there, because I even found a cannon, a working cannon, a toy one. But you could actually load this thing and fire it. A little bitty, probably about about a quarter length of a pencil, and it was just a little bit thicker than probably like a felt tip pen type thing. But yeah, it even had the place for the wick in it and everything. Of course, the wood was all rotted away. It was just the cannon itself. But somebody was telling me that they've had those out for quite a while, and I said, you would never see them today, though. In today's market, you actually load those things up and fire them. I don't think they're going to let the kids play with those, but interesting. Compacts and like the old Rouge compacts and stuff. Several of those on that property, and religious, like crosses and little, medals and stuff like that. I did find a couple herringbone buttons from World War One, which were kind of neat. We find those here for some reason. We don't find a lot of World War II herringbone buttons, but World War One I do, and I don't understand why I wouldn't be finding the others. Were they making them out of plastic at that time too, Craig? World War II, were they still metal, or were they moving into that plastic button time?
Well, they had rubber buttons even during the Civil War.
Oh, they did. Okay. Yeah, I never really got into that part of the buttons, but well, I looked at my grandfather. I got my grandfather's uniform, and or it's a jacket that he wore or had for the military. He was in World War II, and it actually has plastic or hard. I don't know. It looks like plastic to me, buttons, but it was actually a field jacket, though. It wasn't an officer's kind of dress jacket or anything like that, where it'd have the eagle buttons on it and stuff, but or whatever they're using now. But yeah, I have that. And
Goodyear was the one that made the buttons back in the 1860s.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, and it was like a regular eagle button. It's just this rubber with a iron shank or a brass shank. So that's pretty wild, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
The Berdan sharpshooters. It was a Yankee, I don't know, regiment, I guess, or and they're the ones that all had those buttons on them, supposedly.
Yeah.
But I know people that found them. I heard stories about it, but they'd gone to a camp and just basically sifted the dirt. That's the way they did it. They just sifted all the dirt to find them.
Yeah, Craig, Jason's on chat right here. He's digging his first shotgun shell primers, 25, 20, and 22 casings. He had fun though, he said. But those primers, Jason, are you sure they're shotgun primers? Because you do get percussion caps depending on what part of the country you're in. Craig digs those a lot. They're about the same size, but they're obviously different. You probably know what you're digging, obviously, but be careful you're not digging Civil War primers or whatever percussion caps. I mean, Craig, you've dug those 5-6 inches down.
Yeah, well they're small, but they're real paper thin.
Oh,
brass.
they are. Okay.
They're very fragile. They got usually 4 little cuts in them.
Bill's calling them shotgun head stamps. 12 Georges. 12 Georges.
12 Georges.
Yeah.
First Georges.
I never had a problem digging those, really. I mean, some guys get frustrated with them, but, when you think about it, that's, like the size of a nickel, as far as like a 12-gauge round. But if you're digging those at 12 and 13 inches down, if there's a coin down there, you're going to get it because it, especially a silver coin of some kind, even dimes and stuff. That's, I get into that. I figure, I've always thought, they reach into their pocket to get another shotgun shell out and dump some change out when they did it. But it never seems to work out like that. But usually if I get into those, I work my way into the field a little bit. I start finding other stuff. So kind of at least gives you activity, around and stuff. But, the paper rounds, I call them paper rounds. All you get is the head of the shotgun shell or whatever. But they, I've always been told that, I think it's true anyways, anything pre-1935 is going to say number 12, not 12 gauge, GA. So, if you're finding those and they don't say 12 gauge on them, that means, probably they're older and to be on the lookout for other stuff that, in that era. And I always liked the 1920s for some reason. They had a lot of cool stuff, a lot of ornate stuff. Copper and brass, the women wore, their lapel pins and hat pins. And you find a lot of, at least I do down here in Florida, I find a lot of this 1920 stuff.
I found a lot of that in this yard.
Yeah, about the ornateness, though. I mean, it seems like everything from like 1910 to, well, even before that, but I mean, it's just noticeable around the 1920s, the lipstick container, or the lipstick tubes, and the rouge containers and stuff like that. Always, at least the ones I find have been really decorated nicely. There's a little character to the find there. So you never know how big they're going to be either. They had these really small lipstick tubes, about 1 inch long, and shoot, they weren't even as thick around as a pencil, but they were like decorated all the way down the side. I think I have a couple of them. I got to locate those. I'm still putting stuff in my showcase and stuff, and that I got. And Craig, I'm finding stuff from 16 years ago that I had, set in a box up here. I had them labeled, about what year I got them in as I was getting them. But I mean, you keep a lot better record than I do. Everybody does that differently. They'll keep a diary, or like Craig keeps like the coins he's found, the reals and stuff. He has them in a coin, I guess, a coin book, Craig, or a 3-ring binder coin book. Yeah,
it's got like plastic sleeves that you can put about, I think, 20 coins on each sleeve, I guess. Mm-hmm. And I got, and then you can put it in like a notebook, so you can just fold it, snap it together. And I've got probably, I don't know, four or five of those full of coins.
Yeah, I got.
And I don't put any kind of wheat pennies. I'd say, FB Indian heads, or, I don't say the more modern coins or anything. Really. I just pick those. I put wheat pennies like in jars and just cans and stuff. But
well, just in the last 5 years, I have a 20-ounce pirate mug. It's like clear, like a beer stein almost, but it's like 20 ounces. I got it filled with wheat pennies that I found in the last 5 years. So that's probably about, I don't know, $10, $15, $20 worth of wheat pennies. But, I went through them. I got the key dates that I had out of there. I mean, I have a couple that are worth a little bit of money, but, I mean, well, not to the coin collectors, to us in the relic hunting world, they're worth something. They want, coin hunters or coin collectors want those mint ones that are nice and shiny and stuff. But, I've always liked the character of a coin that you dig that, maybe hold or whatever else, the Indian heads and stuff. I always thought they had more character and worth more to me anyways, but no, I won't ever get rid of them, I don't think. Mm-hmm. I told Pauline have a big old auction when I leave this land. So auction off my relics to my friends. There you go.
I've got quite a few silver coins just from these club hunts we used to do.
Yeah.
I didn't really. I thought it was kind of stupid, but about 3/4 of the people that were in the club, that was their main thrill for the year, was the 2 hunts we had.
Oh, okay.
And so that kind of kept everybody, in the club, satisfied, But one time we had a hunt. Most of the time you have like dimes and quarters and stuff, mm-hmm. and maybe a few $50, and then you'll have like a few Indian heads and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But we had silver dollars, $50. We had 2 gold pesos buried in the ground, and people freaked out because we weren't supposed to have buried the gold coins. Mm-hmm. And right toward the end, one of them hadn't been found.
Everybody's...
And but one guy knew where it was, in case. And,
yeah.
But this one guy, I guess he was one of the oldest guys in the club. He's probably about 70 years old, maybe 75. He's a former FBI inspector, I think.
Yeah.
And real nice guy. And so he digs a signal, and all of a sudden he starts screaming, he's like, "Oh my God, I got the gold coin!" But it was funny, a lot of people at first were saying, that was, that's ridiculous, just putting silver dollars and $50 in the ground.
Right.
And then we had all these people come up and said, "That was the best hunt we've ever had. I've never dug a silver dollar ever before."
I haven't. 17 years, I still haven't got my coil over a silver dollar yet. When I do, I think I'm going to have a meltdown. I mean, because I don't even care if it's a brand new silver dollar, whatever, not a new one, but a Morgan or whatever. It doesn't matter. I mean, you've dug a couple of them, Craig, but I can't seem to get one of those things. I got a $50 one time, but it was a Kennedy half.
Well, I got a 1921 Morgan silver dollar. It's probably has the highest mintage of any silver dollar.
Yeah.
And if you had a 1921 piece dollar, they're worth about $100, minimum.
Right.
But this thing's like, what are the, but it's probably more common to find one, that date than it would any other date. But it's kind of wild, when you see the edge of the coin in the hole. You go, oh my God, it's pretty impressive to see a $50 in the hole, or a quarter even.
Mm-hmm.
But seeing a silver dollar in the hole is pretty awesome.
Yeah. One time, I see in here Jason. He lives over in north of Daytona, right there. So, yeah, I'm probably directly over from you, Jason, over here in Bushnell, Florida, across Highway 50, anyway. But he drives truck for a living too, I guess, is what he was saying on here. But years ago, I went to a truck stop in Texas, and I was paying for my fuel. I went over to get a soda, and this guy was paying for his gasoline for his pickup truck, and he handed this guy $30 silver dollars. They were Liberty halves, and there's a couple Morgans, and they had something else in there. I can't, it's been heck almost 18 years ago now, 20 years ago, but yeah, I was the next person in line, and the guy was trying to figure out what to do with them, where to put them at in his drawer. And I said, you know what? Here's $30 right here. I'll just take them off your hands so you don't have to deal with them. Oh, okay, no problem, man. So yeah, I guess I have found some silver dollars before. I had $30 worth of them, but I didn't find them with a metal detector though. But yeah, people. One
of the Kurt from the Hoover Boys the other day after a hunt went to. They always, all the guys have a thing where they go around to these stores and check the coin stars. And so he goes to Walmart, checks the coin star out, and he got a Walker Liberty $50.
Wow. Yeah. People don't realize what they have.
With a couple other coins.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, people do that coin roll hunting, I guess. I mean, it's gotten so popular now that, at least in my area, I go in there. So, did you get any fancy coins in? At the bank I bank at, and no, we had some yesterday, but the bank manager got them. So they're collecting them too. So every once in a while, I'll get like a Mercury dime or something like that, or they always kind of move them to the side for me when I come in there. I go in there about once a week, and every once in a while they'll have a cool coin.
Yeah, every once in a while I find like a silver nickel or a rosy.
Yeah,
rosy.
Yeah, you don't find too many Indian heads anymore. You used to find Indian heads in the rolls, but I think those days are pretty much gone. Every once in a while, somebody will find one. But one of my buddies had a bunch of ice cream trucks, and he was forever getting old coins. Those kids, and then he felt bad about it, so you go back to the neighborhood, you kind of remember where it was, and the parent comes out the next day, hey, did my son pay for, or my daughter, or whatever, it doesn't matter, but did they pay for their ice cream with a certain kind of coin? He goes, yep, here they are. And the guy pays them, exchanges them back, so that was nice of him, but those kids have probably gotten 10 kinds of trouble right there doing that, but go through Dad's coin collection and pay for ice cream. But
yeah. We had a neighbor that the kid took the commemorative Catholic silver coin or whatever they had and bought ice cream with it. And then the guy that got it would denied that he got it.
Oh, that's a rookie move.
Yeah. That was a couple of years ago. What's going God?
I don't know.
Kids just don't know, They don't know what money is because they never earned any before.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
I had one guy, his vending machine, he's trying to put this, get a soda, and they wouldn't take this one quarter. I said, here's a quarter, just give me that one. I look at it. I said, I think you want this one back. He goes, why? I said, that's a silver quarter. It was a 1959 quarter, Washington quarter. I said, I think you want that back. It's silver. That's why it wouldn't go through the machine. I'd have felt bad if I took it from him, even though I bought it from him, but, traded or whatever. But, yeah, you just never know what you're going to find out there. Oh, I saw something really cool today, guys, and I didn't buy it because I didn't have enough money for it, but dynamite detonator. The old push style, whatever, the box that you hook the leads to like blow up dynamite in a mine or something like that. They actually had one at a thrift store of all places. I'm looking at this thing. I said, that can't be real. And I'm looking, and they took it out of there, and it has the plate on it and everything. And they said, Yeah, we're wanting about $475 for that. I'm like, a little rich for my blood, but it was a pretty cool thing. I hadn't seen one. It even had a wood handle on it. Uh, all the I can't remember who made it now. Dog, I should have taken a picture of the thing because you don't see that every day, especially down here. But yeah, it was a detonator, box or whatever. What do they call those, Craig? I guess it's a detonator, right? I don't know.
I guess.
I don't know. I don't blow stuff up, so I don't know anymore. I just use gunpowder for that. Disclaimer, disclaimer, disclaimer. So get started on these top.
What was it? The Roadrunner and the Coyote, and he used to always like be pushing down the.
It never worked.
Yeah, something would happen, and he'd end up getting blown up.
Yep.
But
jeez. I just didn't expect to see that. I mean, Pauline wanted to go in there because she was looking for, jewelry and stuff like that. She likes, the little patriotic things and everything, the earrings and stuff she was looking at. And I just happened to see that head in the case right there. And I'm like, is that real? It sure enough was. It looked real anyways. It looked like it had the patina and had the plate on it and all that stuff. But you just don't expect to see that kind of thing just sitting in a thrift store of all things. But actually, I may put them on Facebook. I mean, we had a lady donate this whole tote it's about a 7-inch deep tote. I don't know what they are, about 1.5 feet or something like that long and about a foot wide, filled with military medals. I mean, just all kinds of, they're not new either. I don't know if she collected them or whoever collected them. I'm going to go through that tomorrow to see if there's any. Well, you never know what you're going to find. It could go, I know I saw some World War II and possibly World War I stuff, and they're just laying on the top. We're talking solid full of medals, ribbons, all that kind of stuff. Have no idea where they, whether she collected them or her husband collected them or whatever. She just said, well, I don't have a use for them, so here. I'm like, wow, okay. So we have to go through all that. I love going through old boxes, auctions and estate sales and stuff. You just never know what you're going to find in the bottom of a box. I've found antique fishing reels, all that, just weird stuff that you just don't really think about people collecting, and old fishing lures. A lot of people are into that too. So you find some strange, like one-offs or something they only made for like a year or two. I actually found a one-drop oiler from Shakespeare from the 1920s. I found that metal detecting, and I didn't even know what the heck it was, Craig. I could just barely read on the end of this thing. It's about the thickness of a pencil, but the cap where you unscrew it all comes apart and everything like it should. But I had to get a magnifying glass and even to see Shakespeare on it. But when I looked it up online, I can't even find a photo of it. They have the bullet oilers. They were for putting a drop of oil, I guess, on the fishing reel, the older ones. But this one here, they said it's extremely rare to even have one. They didn't even have a photo of it, I don't think, on there the last time I looked anyway. I found that in the middle of a field in Florida, of all things. There wasn't even any water around. It's strange. But I didn't know what it was. It's like stainless, almost like a stainless steel. But I don't know. It's a weird find. You get those once in a while, but I found old buckles from old swimsuits from the 20s, too. They had those almost like a Boy Scout buckle, those slide buckles. But these were for swimsuits. It actually has a swimmer on them, and I have one from the 1920s. Just the buckle. That was it. Just laying in a parking lot. The old dirt parking lots. I tell you what, those are the best. If you guys know where a dirt parking lot is, it's been used as that for years and years. See if you can get permission to hunt it. I mean, you're going to find a lot of junk in there. Don't get me wrong, but you're going to find a lot of good stuff too. We found bunches of silver rings and change. I can't even tell you how many dollars in change we got. I mean, everything from current stuff to barber dimes and stuff like that. I even have an O barber dime. I think it's Louisiana or something like that, Craig. It has an O on it.
That's Orleans.
New Orleans, yeah.
Orleans back then, before that was New Orleans.
Yeah. And I found one of those, and it's a sight to just kept on giving and giving and giving. Probably still would. I mean, I had Mark Hoover and Mike Miller out there, and I think Mark found 2 rings. They were spinner rings and stuff like that. I mean, just bling. But Mike found a Mercury dime. This is an area that I've hit for years and years. I mean, there's so many targets in there. I mean, you got to just have some patience and kind of get in between those targets and really take your time. But it pays off. You're gonna dig some junk. I mean, you're gonna dig some aluminum pull tabs and some pieces of copper, brass, and everything. But you always seem to come out of there with 2 or 3 really nice what we consider relics out of there. I probably could go there tomorrow and still find more stuff. And right down literally not even a half a block away is where I found the drill sergeant whistle from the First World War. It's a drill sergeant whistle, actually, listed on the side of it says military on it. I found that along a sidewalk, old sidewalk that you can barely see. It's covered up with grass and everything like that. I found that through their wood burning stove parts. You just never know what you're going to dig out of the ground. That's all there's until you get it out of the ground, right? So,
yeah,
I'm going to try to get out. I'm hoping to get out on Sunday if it's not raining. But Monday's probably out. It's probably got to dump rain, is what I'm thinking. But I don't think it'll mess us up too bad. I mean, they always call for rain down here, and then it won't. You know what I mean? If it says 20% rain, you're going to get rain. If it says 80% rain, you're not. So
yeah,
seems like it blows over.
I
Or
don't
something.
know. Around here, when they say it's going to rain, it seems to rain.
Yeah.
But we've had unbelievable rain. It's just 8 straight days. I was at the grocery store and people were talking about, oh my God, we don't need more rain. That grass, growing up over my knees.
Yeah. Well, I know we need the rain down here. I mean, but I just don't think we need it all at one time. It's better to have that rain every other day, just kind of drizzle rain. This hard rain just rolls right off. You wouldn't think it'd roll off sand, but it does. It's so dry that it just doesn't absorb. Just kind of runs off. A lot of times.
Well, maybe the poor bushes and stuff are sucking up all the water.
Yeah, they could be.
Sometimes that happens.
My yard was looking like, it was looking good, then it didn't rain for a month, and it just dried it right up. But it's coming back now. I got mushrooms growing and everything else in my yard.
Yeah, I saw a couple in the front yard today.
I got to tell you this, Craig. I didn't even tell you this yet, but day before yesterday, I was in my office doing some stuff, just the, computer junk, the emails and all that stuff. And I was talking to my mom on the phone, and Loki went crazy. I mean, he was just like, it sounded like he was ripping something apart. It wasn't him. Usually he doesn't do that. And I, kind of just threw the phone down and went out, said, Mommy's after somebody. And I thought somebody got in the yard or something like that. But all I saw was this dark, 3 foot off the ground, it seemed like, jumping at him. And he was just jumping right back. And he wasn't really trying to bite it, I don't think. But it turned out to be a big soft-shell turtle it's probably about almost the size of a garbage can lid in our yard. Somehow got in the yard underneath the fence somehow or whatever. And Loki had never seen one of these things, I don't think, but he was just barking. And the darndest thing, man, this thing was jumping at him. This turtle, as big as it was, would rear back and leap forward. And he would go like a foot, it seemed like. He had to have been the longest jumping turtle I've ever seen in my life. And snapping at, oh my God, it's like, okay, what the hell do I do now? I said, well, you can grab them from the side on these soft shells. Don't do it with a snapper. You grab them by the tail down here because they got these alligator snappers, and they'll rip your finger right off your hand. No exaggeration about that. But these soft shells, their bite is pretty bad, but not as bad as a snapper, or these gator snappers, I call them. But I got it from the side right there and set him over the fence and tried to calm him. The dog called off fine and everything, but I went back out my cell phone and videoed it. And neighbor came over. He's from New Jersey and just moved down here. And he's like, oh, my God, what is that? Is that like a gopher turtle? I said, no, it's a soft-shelled turtle. And it's almost like a piece of leather, grabbing hold of a piece of leather that's kind of, almost drying up. That's what it feels like. It's just not It's not like a hard shell; it's soft shell, obviously. But and my mom was laughing. I was using the phone, the house phone, setting it on top of the turtle to get an idea of size, so I could videotape it. And she thought that was hilarious. So the three of us laughing at trying to get this turtle to go down towards the river because I think they're breeding right now is what it is. The turtles will leave the ponds, the farm ponds and stuff like that, go to the Withlacoochee River and do their thing, and then they come back, lay their eggs, whatever they're going to do, and then they come back to where it's like a migration thing. And I get them I don't even know how they get in the yard because I thought I had, bricks and everything else around the bottom of the fence line, but they managed to get through there. But I've never seen one so aggressive. And of course, you didn't have a dog running after you. I guess you're going to get a little ticked off too. But usually I can pick them up and pretty much set them on a tailgate or inside the back of the pickup and take them, get them to a place where they can go in the water, in other words, and do that. But I thought that was hilarious. He was just, he just thought he was the king of the yard, but he was prancing around like he had just run off a burglar or something. So, a little bit of excitement, got the blood pumping a little bit. I thought it was a coyote at first. It was behind a bunch of sago palms, and all I could see was the black outline. I'm thinking, oh man, what's a coyote doing out here at 5 o'clock in the afternoon? And that's usually not a good sign when you primarily are out at night. But for whatever reason, the optical illusion thing got in there, and I was like, man, my dog's going to get tore up. It's going to get tore up. It's going to be a bad deal. But thank goodness it was just a turtle. So, but yeah, you never know what you're going to find in your yard down here. We have the wild hogs and coyotes and everything else. It's kind of like the Serengeti out here or something. Seems like weird stuff. So is Mike doing?
We have.
Oh, good.
We have a few groundhogs, but they've been staying away from the yard mostly. But we think one of them went under the shed probably last night or something. But they had like a burrow under there.
Mm-hmm.
But the neighbor next door, they don't live there. It's a historical house, and they got there's like holes all around the foundation. The groundhogs have been under there for years.
I think these animals
Terrible.
get curious. I mean, like deer and turkeys and stuff like that. I've been out in fields and in the woods hunting, and they'll just walk up on me. It's like they get within like about maybe 30 yards, maybe, and they'll stop and just watch you. I've seen, Gunner had that happen to him. He was out metal detecting. These deer ran all the way across this big field and stopped in front of him when he was metal detecting. They heard the beep, and I guess it sounds strange to him, maybe. Or it's out of the ordinary. They wanted to investigate it or whatever. But I had the same thing happen with turkeys down here, like 50 or 60 of them, toms, all toms, and they landed about, I don't know, maybe 50 yards from me or whatever, and just started walking my way. And I'm like, okay, that's not normal. Usually they run from people or whatever. They get, try to get away from you. But that sound must have got them because I wasn't using headphones that day. I was just kind of, beeping along there, and the owner of the property saw him, and he says, man, you got invaded by turkeys. I said, yeah, I just wish one of them would have landed in my truck so I could take them home for dinner. Wild turkey dinner. So,
Yeah.
It just floors me the amount of, like bald eagles. I don't, most of you, I don't know how often a lot of people see them. When I lived up north, I mean, I didn't see them very often, but down here, I got them flying over my house. Bald eagles.
Yeah, we get
everything. Falcons.
Yeah, we've had them fly over the house. I mean, they're not. We'd see more hawks, red-tip hawks, and I don't know. There's some other. I don't know if it's a falcon or what, but it's probably a hawk because it's a real stocky bird, kind of short wings, but fast. But it's real chunky, brown. But I'll have to check and see what kind of hawk it is, but
probably Cooper's. Well, I don't know if they have Cooper hawks up there, but they have them down here. And then they have kite. I call them kites. They have a weird tail on them. They almost can hover. They're full size. They go after squirrels and stuff out of the trees and stuff, and I'll see those when I'm out metal detecting too. They kind of not float, but they're just moving real. It seems like really slow compared to hawks, big other birds. And they're looking for the squirrels up in the trees and stuff, and they don't bother, they don't bother people, at all. I've never had them bother me at all, but you'll see those, and you'll see the red-tailed hawks and the eagles, and we have a couple falcons that come around, but they scare off all the other birds. Even the red-tailed hawks get away from them because I guess they'll attack whatever they're hunters, so they're predator birds, so they'll go after whatever, or run them off anyways. But I just didn't. I guess until you see a bald eagle in person, I've seen them land. I see them on the side of the road, just land. Those things are huge. I mean, you just don't. I guess you can't really notice that when they're up in the air. But these just beautiful, beautiful birds.
Up in my area, you can't. It used to be you couldn't even get near them because they were almost dead. They'd almost died off around the Potomac, and they cleaned up the river over the years.
Right.
And the biggest thing was the hydrilla suddenly started growing, and within years it clogged up a lot of the creeks and stuff.
Yeah.
It was so bad, but what it did was it oxygenated the water, and it all of a sudden and purified it, and the fish started coming back, and then the birds started coming back.
Yeah.
And eagles love, they're kind of a scavenger bird. They like stealing stuff from other birds.
I was just gonna say that I had one the other day like that. Go ahead. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I used to see them at a couple of sites I was at. I'd see them every time I went, and they'd always be being chased by crows and stuff. There'd be like 5 or 6 crows, and they'd be circling up and up, keep going higher and higher, and then all of a sudden the eagle would get tired of them and just take off like a streak and just leave them behind. It's amazing how fast they are.
Yeah, I had one that landed right in the middle of the road to get a piece. There was a hog that got hit, and it landed by it right on the zipper line, a 2-lane road. And I'm driving up on it. I said, that thing's not going to it's not going to fly away. It's just sitting there just going to town. And I stopped, just put my hazard lights on and stopped because, it waited until the last, maybe I was 20 feet from it before it flew up. And the guy behind me hit his horn because he couldn't figure out what I was doing, and he pulled over in the other lane, and he saw it, and he stopped. So it's like we're all stopped waiting on this eagle to get done getting his morning breakfast or whatever, or go. But, yeah, the thing, it looked like it was 3 foot tall or something like that. It's big bird. But, the
beautiful bird.
Oh, yeah. We got all...
Ben Franklin wanted the turkey as the national bird.
Yeah.
They didn't think much of eagles back then because they were scavengers.
Mm-hmm. They have a lot of them up there in Alaska, that's for sure. I see them on that Deadliest Catch and stuff like that. It's like hundreds of them. It seems like flying around, or not hundreds, but I mean there's quite a few of them anyways, right by the docks and stuff. Always looking for probably fish or whatever else gets thrown over, or right there at shore. I guess they had a problem with them for a while there too. People dive bombing people. Kids and stuff, they run into them, or knock them over. Those talons are nothing to mess with, I tell you. But, you see them go after stuff. I've seen some of these, I think they're Cooper's hawks. I can't remember what the exact name is. He flew down into right along the river. He pulled out, it looked like a 2.5, 3 pound bass. And he took everything he could do to get the thing up out of the water and fly off with it. I think the thing was almost bigger than he was, it seemed like. And he's hauling it out of there. I don't know how he does it, but
yeah, it's pretty wild, isn't it?
You see a lot of wildlife when you're out there hunting. They had
a lot of osprey. You didn't see them except along the river and the creeks themselves, but
right.
Just about every pole sticking out of the water had a nest on it.
Yeah, we have a lot of those down here too.
And they hate eagles. Eagles, are like, they're always stealing stuff from the ospreys.
Yeah.
I remember one time I lived, pretty close to the Potomac River, and there's a place called East Potomac Park, and it's right, real high area, and part of it's in Arlington,
right?
Part of it's in D.C., but they had this one place where they had rehabilitated this eagle called, and they named it Freedom. And Bill Clinton and this whole environmental group went out there to release the eagle. They released it, and it flew about maybe, 40 or 50 yards, and it got attacked by an osprey and knocked into the water.
Oh, man. That just
so they freaked out. had to call the Coast Guard, fish the thing out, and take it back to rehab.
That's bad luck right there. I don't care who you are or what you are. Get released, you're going to get your freedom back, and bam, you get knocked right down to the ground. That just ain't right.
Well, the next day in the newspaper, some wildlife person said, "That is stupid. The osprey probably had nests in that area, and they see an eagle. They don't like that. They're going to go after it. So you can't just introduce an eagle into you got to kind of case the place out to see if it's
no kidding.
Okay for them.
That goes for any kind of wild animal. I mean, I've seen Canadian geese, and some of you guys up in Canada, I'm sure, can talk about those. But we, I was out detecting one time. We were hunting by like a farm pond or whatever. And you don't want to get near a goose nest, where they're having their babies at. Oh my God, those buggers, a 15 or 20 pound goose, they'll dive bomb you. I mean, they get pretty protective of their nesting area, that's for sure. And they don't make any qualms about it. You know that you're getting close to them because they'll start
water
buzzing
hunting one time. And we had the swans chasing a boat.
Yeah, mean little buggers.
And then we were coming down the creek one time, and they were almost in this bass boat, and the people were like beating them off with their poles, trying to keep them. I mean, these are huge ones. They were they had like black heads on them. I think they're mute swans or something.
Yeah, I don't know.
They're huge, big, really big ones.
Yeah, they use some of those as watchdogs down here. They got every time if they hear anything at all at night, they'll go off. But those things they can get if they hit you in the head, I guess they could hurt you real bad. I don't know. I always thought about it. They come flying at me, I'm grabbing a neck. We're going to have goose for dinner. I'm not taking one for the team. We're going to have goose. Jeez. But yeah, strange animals what they do sometimes. And Loki's discovered a rabbit. I haven't seen a rabbit in 2 years down here. I mean, I just never have put my eyes. Well, now we have one in our yard. He's been here for like a couple weeks, and Pauline thought she was seeing something. She goes, "You're not going to believe it. Maybe I had, I didn't get enough sleep, but I think I just saw a rabbit in our yard." I say, "Yeah, you're crazy. There's no rabbit here." The next day, it ran out of the bushes right when I was walking by the garage right there, scared the crap out of me. I said, "Yeah, honey, we have rabbits now." And Loki doesn't know what to think of the thing. He starts chasing and he starts thinking about it. Maybe this thing will get me. It's awful fast. He's kind of doofy with stuff like that, but
gives him something to do.
Yeah. Well, you picture a 97-pound cowboy Pitt being leery about going after something. It just, I don't want him to get it by any means, but I think he would play with it. I really do. We have a little Chihuahua. He loves that dog. He protects it like it's his own, for God's sake. And the neighborhood cats now, they come in the yard and he doesn't do nothing to them. So I'm glad about that. I don't have to worry about him and cats really. We have some feral ones around, but it's funny. He does some crazy stuff. I think I have a video out there of him digging behind me when I was doing that test garden. Did I put that up, Craig? I think I did. I was digging out for the test garden, trying to find targets and stuff, and make sure I had a clean area. And I'm digging out a target, and my dog's behind me, just digging like crazy. He dug like 2 foot down in like 30 seconds, and I had the camera on a tripod, so I never even saw it happening until I turned around and saw him doing it. But he was digging a target at the same time I was, and it turns out there was a target in the ground too, and it was a drawer pull or something like that. But he saw me digging in the ground. It kind of taught him a bad habit. Now he wants to try to dig all the time, but he's getting better about that too. I wanted to take him out metal detecting with me. I don't know if I can trust him enough to stick with me. Probably have to put him on a lead or something. I hate doing that, so thought about taking him out there to the fields, let him run around a little bit. Because we have an acre, but he gets something in his head. He sees wildlife and he wants to go run after it and play.
That's the trouble. Yeah. We had like the Masonic Temple had property when I was in Alexander, like, one house away from me.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a huge property, and they had basically a replica of the the Masonic Temple is a replica of the lighthouse at Alexandria, Egypt. So it's, 365 feet high.
Yeah.
I'd say the property is at least 15 acres, maybe more. Might be like 20 acres, I guess. But they used to, people took their dogs over there, and it got so messed up that they outlawed dogs. But people would go over there anyway. And across the street, there was a railroad track, and then there was a wooded area that kind of went right along the beltway there. And the deer were always in there, and they would come up into the field. And so there was, I think it was 2 fawns and a doe. And the neighborhood got all upset. All these people got upset because the dogs were chasing the deer into the street.
Yeah.
Sometimes the dog was like a mile away.
That was.
People didn't have the dogs on a leash either.
Right.
Which you're supposed to have, but there was a leash law in Alexandria.
Yeah.
Plus, they're on private property, not supposed to be there.
Yeah.
But anyway, they wanted to get rid of this deer herd, and it was one doe and 2 fawns, and it's a herd.
Yeah. It's a herd. I see. Jason was talking in here. You can see. He was just saying on chat where you can see where VDIs can mess you up. Things come up similar on the numbers, but are different targets. He said, like you all say, dig it all right now and listen for the repeatable tones. When you can see those VDIs, Jason, a lot of the machines are like that. They'll get jumpy, and sometimes it could be something that's just out of detection depth or close to it, or it's by a bunch of other stuff. Could be some iron by it, or it could be, whatever, can slaw, whatever. It'll make that VDI number jump a little bit. But if you can get, like you're right, if you can get a repeatable tone on it, and at least one direction, probably 2 would be better, but you're not going to know what it.
The coin's like in the edge,
Yeah,
or
coin on edge.
Turned a little bit, it'll read differently. Also, if the water's, in the ground, it'll probably read higher a lot of times.
Right. Because a lot of them do that.
Conductivity is better.
Yeah, the mine. It doesn't really matter what kind. I know that. I was hearing that about the detector that he has about the numbers jumping. I know that like the AT Pro does that. A lot of them do. It's just the way the technology is. It's not quite. I don't know. I wouldn't say it's not quite accurate enough. I think it's trying to sniff out everything it can. And it can get kind of confusing once in a while, but that's the best policy. If you can hear a good tone in there, a repeatable tone, if you're hunting multiple tones, obviously you don't want the real low one. That's going to be iron, but the other ones as they get higher, you dig those tweaks, because it could be in just right in a hole with a bunch of nails and stuff. I've seen it happen more often than not, and a lot of guys will walk on that. Thinking, oh, it's just junk. But, if you take a little time to investigate it, that's where all those little options on your metal detector are for. If you really want to just kind of, pick it out, get the highlights of what you're digging out of the ground and go through these analysis screens and stuff like that. I always say just dig it. By the time you get done going through all that, you just dig it out of the ground, see what it is. But that's the thing to listen for, is those high tweaks or something repeatable. And go with your gut on that. Don't go by that meter all the time.
Yeah, and check the signal from different directions too.
Yes, definitely.
It might. I've had readings that read great in one direction and bad in the other direction.
Yep.
Because there's some kind of iron or nail or something near it. So you can, sometimes an inch is as good as a mile, in metal detecting, it just a little bit off, and you get a signal and you go, oh, that's not any good. It's not, reading right.
Right.
It's not perfect, and I wouldn't, as a relic hunter, I didn't use too many metered machines over the years. I mostly went by ear, because you dig everything anyway when you relic hunt.
Yep.
The small buttons read below nickel usually. So you're digging like basically a tinfoil signal.
Yep.
uh, so it's the meter doesn't really matter much in relic hunting, I don't think.
It just gives you a general, okay, wait a minute, there could be something here. Let me look at the meter. Yep, it's telling me something's here because it's jumping here to here, and that sounds good. And then you make your decision to dig it or not. I mean, it's just it's a tool in your arsenal with your metal detector. That's what it amounts to. Because if you just go by that, I'm not getting a solid 83, so it's not a dime. It's probably a piece of junk, and walk on, because you're getting it at 81. You've done walked on a dime probably. You know what I mean? So you gotta, don't let that meter rule what you dig and what you don't dig. Use your ear, use your gut. What your gut's telling you. If it sounds like a dig me signal, dig it. I've had some stuff that, well, Craig, I think we all have. You get into these coin spills and stuff. The detector doesn't know what the heck to do sometimes. I mean, it knows there's a bunch of targets in there, and it's giving you all kind of high tones, like above 50. Most of the time, this Quest would ring up between 70 and 80 or 70 and 90.
I wonder how many people, walk on that thinking it's iron.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You get multiple targets in there, and it could do crazy stuff.
I've heard people, they won't dig, I think, 98, 99 on the Deus because it's iron. And I remember when I got that Cobb, it read 98 in the ground and 97 out of the ground.
Right. A lot of silver.
Yeah. So it had a slight halo for being in the ground for about 300 years.
Yeah.
Probably, But, I always say, take a chance. What can it hurt? It could be junk, but what if it 1 in 1,000? You dig something like what I did.
Yep. It's worth taking the chance.
You just never know. I mean, when you least suspect it,
yeah,
stuff like that'll happen.
Yeah, I mean, it's just you can't. They kind of have not brainwashed, but they always say, "Oh, you can see what you're going to dig before you dig it." It's giving you an example of what it could be. And I know, like with the White's machines, they come out and they would oh, you're getting this signal. It's a bullet. It's a button. It's a bullet. It's a button. Well, none of the stuff was bullets or buttons. It's just giving you what they've been programmed to do. And of course, that's why the preset programs. I just got rid of the icons altogether. I really don't care what it's showing on there. I'll look at the VDI number a little bit, but I've been like you, Craig. I found myself just going to Sound Machine to listen to the sound, even on the the ones with the screen, because it just seems to me it's better information. It's clearer. For me, anyways. Some people can't hear the tones. I mean, I have a problem with certain tones, but that's from damage from shooting guns and everything else without ear protection for so many years back when I was younger. So I've lost some of my tones that I can hear, but the ones that I do hear, I hear them pretty good. And Greg is really good at it. He can really, with that Deus, man, he could pick stuff out, better than I ever could probably. It depends on which machine you're using too, how pronounced it is. But we dig a lot of those high tweaks. That's what the highest pitched. You'll catch a piece of that as you're swinging over a target. You'll hear that high beep, and then everything else will be kind of lower. But if you're getting that repeatable high tone in there somewhere, it's worth taking a scoop out of the ground anyways. I mean, it only takes you a minute or two. Just flip it out of there and see if it gets better or worse or whatever, break the halo, so to speak. Well, and that's another thing, too, Craig. I've seen guys do that. I've done it myself. Kick the ground once or stomp your foot on the ground right where the target is or where you're getting the target. Mm-hmm. If it's jump, you sometimes can break that halo. If there is a halo right there, like iron halo, sometimes you can break that and it'll kind of let you get through there a little bit better. On that deeper iron that sounds better.
I was filling in a hole the other day, and I was taking the shovel and hitting the plug, to smash it down a little bit better. And I had the Blisslet sitting off to the side, and I had a 15-inch coil on. And every time I hit the sound, I could hear a signal. Even though it was about maybe 3 feet away, and it's going through the ground. It's probably putting an electrical charge through the ground when you hit the ground real hard. I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah, we got, like Jason was saying, he goes, he thanked us for, everybody for giving him advice and stuff like that. And Erie from Virginia. He might be up in your area, Craig. And he said, we all get
Yeah.
confused sometimes. No big deal. Soil, weather, moisture, it's all influences what we dig. Some days your targets sing to you. The next it could be scrambled chaos. That's true, Erie. It's just all those, brings up a good point. Soil, moisture, weather, the conditions, whether it's mineralized soil or not, salt water, sand, wet saltwater sand. You got to get through the chaos. And it just sounds like chaos sometimes. Sometimes it doesn't. And it could be something as simple as your settings. If you're in a really wet environment, like it rained for a week and now it's sun shining out there, but the ground is really saturated. A lot of the VLF detectors will work, a lot better. Water's a good conductor of signal. Craig and I have found that over the years, but that can work to your disadvantage too, because sometimes we try to run too much power, gain, whatever you want, too much sensitivity in that environment. Sometimes you need to back down because these detectors are getting better and better every year. So what I would normally do with an MXT, 10, 12 years ago, I mean, the newest MXT, I don't know if they've probably changed a little bit. I would think they've done different stuff with them, but they're not going to, they're a little bit more powerful, and the water can actually conduct it good enough where you would actually be, it would start making it false and not lock on real good. So sometimes backing off the power a little bit does help you. I know it does with the Bliss tool. It definitely does. When we get into a wet environment, we're going down to 1 gain or less. And we just turn the sensitivity up some. And that's just to getting cut through there, and we don't need it. We don't need the power part of it. We just need to have the machine be able to work, be smooth, be calm, so that you can hear these whisper tones and stuff like that. And you probably get that with the Equinox too, those whisper tones. A lot of machines have them. It's a good signal. It's repeatable, but it's real quiet as you're going over the target. If you get those kind of signals, dig them. It's something deep or very, very small. One of the two. I've always found that, especially with the Bliss tool. I mean, I've dug, shoot, Craig, I don't know, shoulder deep on targets before. And as you get that soft, repeatable signal in both directions, it's barely breaking the threshold, but it's definitely a beep, a signal, just so quiet. That's why I always tell guys, use your headphones. You see me not use them in my videos because I'm trying to let people hear what the machine will do. But when I'm hunting, when I'm really hunting, relic hunting, whatever, most of the time I have my headphones on. It's because you're going to hear those imperfections a lot better. And everybody, you can only afford what you can afford. Not all of us can go out there and just buy a set of headphones that's $200 or whatever. But if you get a chance, a lot of these headphones, Craig, with the Killer Bees are like, I think I paid $85 for them or $80 for them. And that was at a show, but I mean, still, you probably can get them for $100, I would think, couldn't you? How much did you get?
I think I paid $135. I got the Ultimate.
Oh, okay. I didn't get those. I got just standard Killer Bees, but they have Gray Ghost. They have Sunray Golds. They have. I mean, there's a lot of different brands out there. The ones I've always used, Sunray Golds and Killer Bees. And Craig, I think you use the Killer Bees yourself, right? Is that all you're using now?
I've had them for 4 or 5 years, I think.
Yeah.
They've been, rock solid. I mean, they don't even look like they've been any wear on them at all.
Yeah, I'm looking at these Detechnic ones right here. I think I talked about them on the last show. For the Quest Pro, these things are full size. These are actually just a little bit. The diameter on these things is a little bit bigger than the Killer Bees. But Craig, these things they got padding everywhere on them. I'll have to take a picture of these. And push buttons on the side. There's a volume button, and of course the volume you can do on there. One trick I have been doing on the Bliss tool and a couple other detectors, and I don't know whether this is going to make a difference in some of them or not. When you're wearing headphones, obviously if you have volume controls on your headphones, I've been turning up my detectors volume-wise up higher, like 3/4 or more, and controlling the volume through my headphones. I don't know if opening up the machine it's helping it or not, I don't know. What's your thoughts on that, Craig? Do you think that's helping us out, or is that not doing anything
I
at all?
tried it. I don't know. I don't really. To me, it didn't really seem to make a difference to me, but maybe it does for other people. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it
might
depends
be
on what
the
machine.
headphones too.
Oh,
I don't know. But
I'm trying. I just remembered this, guys, and I got to bring it up now. And I'm trying to remember the name of the show. It was on. Oh God, what's the name? It's an archaeology type of a show, and I'm trying to remember. It's a team of they go to these different sites. Some Civil War fort they went to that was out out west. One of the last ones that was built before the war ended and all that stuff. It's more for the Indian part of it, because at the Civil War they were moving troops over to battle with the Indians, I guess, or something like that.
yeah.
But anyways, they were looking for evidence of this. But it's a group, and they have people with or radar, ground penetrating radars and stuff, and they do the little trial, and little brooms, and they're scraping everything out, trying to find pottery or whatever they could find to give them evidence of what they're looking for. And the one show, it kind of ticked me off a little bit, because they made reference to this property was a piece of private property, and the owner said, "Yeah, I've had a couple guys out bottle hunting, and a couple guys come out metal detecting." And the first thing one of the archaeologists said, or the students or whatever, "All the looters have been out here," and they referred to us as looters. Yeah. It pissed me off, only because we're just out there trying to find stuff. I mean, obviously nobody knew that was there, or they probably would have said something about it anyways. A fort, come on. But anyways, they went on, and my wife was laughing at me. She goes, "You're really getting mad, aren't you?" I said, "They don't have to say it 25 times. Okay, so we're a bunch of looters." It is, is what they came across. But the next show, they had their own team of metal detectorists. It was actually, and that's the first time they'd done this in this show that I've seen, anyways. And we've watched about 7 episodes now. This is the first time they had their own team that had metal detectors. And guess which detector they were using, Craig? The Nautilus. That's what they were using.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was surprised about that, but I figured that was the only detector they can get that's not in business anymore, really. But, he was out there with the Nautilus. I don't know how, he didn't show the settings. You couldn't, I know what they look like. Of course you do too, but I mean, most laymen, people that don't metal detect, they probably couldn't even read the name on the side of it. It was blatantly obvious, and it was a Nautilus. And they were marking targets. And that's what I was talking about. Well, we've always talked about that, finding the targets, finding out where the activity is, and marking it so they have a general idea of where to, if they have to dig test holes everywhere, why not dig a test hole where something's at?
Yeah, I did that. I did that at Manassas.
Right.
Right there in the battlefield, right next to the stone house, and that they were going to put a parking lot in, and the archaeologists did 500 test holes,
right,
in a grid, and each test hole was a foot by foot by foot deep, and everything was sifted, and they found 2 bullets, and so we went in there. And I think in a week and a half, maybe 2 weeks, found out 1,080 artifacts.
Right.
And
that's what it's about.
The place was loaded. Yeah. I mean, it was absolutely loaded. I mean, there was so much iron and crap in the ground too. Nails and stuff. And but there was so many artifacts. It was unbelievable.
Yeah.
They were in absolute shock. And I said, this is where Stonewall Jackson routed the Union Army and got his name Stonewall,
right.
Right in this area, they basically, charged the Union Army and they just bolted and threw all their stuff on the ground and ran all the way back to D.C. It took them 3 days to get back there, some of them. But I said, this is, and I said, this is just the first battle. There was 2 battles here.
Right.
Right. And so this place has to be loaded. It's just got to be. I mean,
Well, they were talking about stuff. I mean, that's the reason I started watching the show, is because it wasn't so in your face about the excavating of a site. They did it thoroughly, but they're on a time frame. They only have so many days to investigate and find evidence. And I get why a lot of times they probably wouldn't use a metal detector, because they're looking for imperfections in the ground. They're looking for small, it doesn't matter what it is as far as pottery and stuff. It gives them an idea of time frame. If they're right in the right time frame,
Mm-hmm.
they have to go deeper. I get all that and everything, but I thought it was kind of, when they started saying, okay, well, we have this many days to dig this much area. It's a huge area. And they said, okay, well, we're going to do it differently. They bring the backhoe in that has this wide backhoe blade on it. And this guy that operates it he's absolutely a professional with that backhoe. He sits there and scrape like an inch of ground off and move it into a pile and scrape another inch. And they're looking for the change in the soil type, or maybe burnt, if they start seeing burnt ash and stuff like that. Of course, they stop and they start looking more. But I thought it was funny. They went from these little hand trowels and scraping this stuff to working this area to getting the bobcat out there and just taking a whole, like a 10-foot area and just dragging towards them and moving it off to the side so they can sift it later. But they were doing that. It was really interesting what they were talking about and stuff. And they had that one show, man. I just kept on dropping that looter. Now, my definition of a looter is somebody like in Egypt. They find a tomb and they go in and they raid it and they take everything out. That's a looter, or that's what I consider a looter.
Mm-hmm.
What we're doing is nowhere near anything like that. I mean, that's what upset me the most about it. It was out of the realm of what we do. We're saving history in a different way. These are places that a lot of people, there's so many archaeological sites in this. Anything can be archaeological, as long as it has the history to it. But we're talking. They were digging in people's backyards because they figured out, oh, this may be moved over here, and there's a house here. Now let's see if we can get permission. They actually tore up the floor of an old Uncle Tom's cabin. They were up there. I think it was up in Canada. It's a true story. Whatever. You lived up there in his cabin. They ripped the floor out, and they pulled a subfloor out, and they eventually got down to where the clay. It's not a clay floor, but it's a real dirt floor, hard floor, and they actually got down to it. But they got permission, and they ripped this woman's floor out of her house and literally went down there and did it. So they'd be in house sites too. But I mean, a lot of us go out and we're hobbyists, we're relic hunters, we're whatever. But they made it sound so bad on that one show. I almost didn't watch it anymore. That's how mad it made me. And I watched the next one. I said, okay, well, I'll give them that one. But then they came right back with, now they're using metal detectors, and along with sonar or whatever, the ground penetrating radar to figure out where the imperfections in the ground and stuff. A lot of people think those ground penetrating radars are going to tell you where the gold is and stuff. No, it's going to tell you that if that soil's been disturbed, like something was buried there, it's going to show you the imperfections of the ground itself, or where an old roadbed was, where I don't know, Craig, where the different stratus lines or whatever, when anything that's like a wall was underground, whatever the foundations, it'll show you stuff like that. But it's not going to show you a gold coin, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it can tell you mass areas, like they were thinking they found a blacksmith at the Civil War fort that they built out of stone. Of all that, it was one of the few built out of stone. This was out west, but they found this area, and I think it turned out to be the blacksmith, because they had to make shoes for the horses, the cavalry soldiers, and all that kind of stuff. So they do find that on the radar too, or whatever ground penetrating radar, but it comes out as a mass. And I guess the lady that does that on that show is really good. They have some really good people that know what they're doing, and they're each in their field, and that's what impressed me a lot about the history of the sites they're digging at and stuff. But they noticed too that it's spread out. It's not just in one little bitty 1 acre lot or 2 acre lot. It's spread out throughout the community. But back then, I mean, nowadays it's all built up, so you kind of fish through everything trying to figure out where everything was. But yeah, I have to get the name of that stupid. I think it's like Adventure Archaeology or Team Archaeology or something like that, Craig. I'll get it for you. I'll put it up on Facebook. Let you guys check it out if you want to. It's just documentaries. I think they were done by PBS too, if I'm not mistaken. That's all. I think they were.
after we did that, our club did that dig, and it went on for I think almost a year.
Mm-hmm.
They had such success there. They just started going over the whole battlefield and just kind of rotating, relic hunters out there to help them.
Yeah, why not?
And I mean, and I remember the head archaeologist called me, to thank me, and said, I was kind of shocked. He said, we can't believe how much you guys know about all this stuff, and how knowledgeable you are and how good you are with those metal detectors. And I said, well, it takes practice. I mean,
well, we know what we're after.
Go out there. Yeah. And I said, I've been doing this for a long time. And I said, I like to read. And when I got into metal detecting, I decided, hey, I'm interested in history, and I'll just read about Civil War history and colonial history. And,
right.
That's all we had is books back then, but now we got the internet.
You didn't have stone tablets, Craig? I'm picking up.
I'd like to find one.
Yeah, me too. Yeah. Well, I just found it interesting.
Well, you never know about that either.
Yeah, you don't.
Who knows if it could have been people here, 10,000 years. Well, there probably was people here 10,000
years ago. Yeah, I've been watching that Ancient Aliens, and they've come up with some really good evidence on that. There was intelligent humans on the face of the earth 10,000 years ago. They're almost positive of it because they had this actual physical evidence. Legitimately. I was like, wow, okay.
Well,
I didn't expect that, but not from them.
Well, they found that they'd use that LIDAR down there in Guatemala. Found, like a city that had 15 million people in it or something.
Mm-hmm.
If you stand on the ground next to it, you can't see anything.
Right.
But it's all under the jungle.
Yep.
But it was there 13,000 years ago.
Yep.
And this changes everything. I mean, I wonder what was in the middle of the Amazon.
Oh, yeah. South America's always...
And you hear all this stuff about Antarctica, too, now.
Yeah.
What's under the ice. At one time, there was no ice on, like that.
Mm-hmm. You just never know what you're going to... I mean, you can get into stuff. We've all heard the stories or seen the items found. I can remember years ago, a lady and her son dug the I think it was a Roman coin in their backyard in North Carolina. They always say you always get all these individual finds. They say it's just a coincidence. Well, how many of those coincidences equal out to be the real deal? You know what I mean? If you're finding this stuff, even if it's in different eras, but it's like down here when the guy found a coin that was what do you say, 389 or so 40, I don't know, a year. Is down here in Florida. Well, the Viking spear head that Michael Boyles, his friend, found in a lake in Central Florida. I mean, it's legitimately a spearhead. I mean, I think he put it up on Facebook and stuff. This has been about a year ago now. But why would you find this kind of stuff if in the middle of nowhere?
There's a lot of things that they said was ridiculous. 20 and 30 and 40 years ago that are now true.
Mm-hmm. Well, they did it up in Jacksonville or in St. Augustine. The guy finds a Civil War cannonball, and they said, they said, well, this found by a metal detectorist, and then halfway through the article, he says, oh yeah, some collector probably buried it there. That was the dumbest thing that I've ever heard of. Why would a collector, number one, he knows what it's worth. Why would he bury a Civil War cannonball in a vacant lot? You know what I mean? It just doesn't make any sense. It's worth something, so a collector wouldn't have done that. Give it to the stupidest excuse in the world. Come on. There's stuff that's out there that these bank robbery loot and stuff like that from the 20s and the 30s. I mean, we had crime forever, but you can find this. It's out there to be found. It's never been recovered. So I mean, it could be anywhere. I mean, you never know what you're going to dig up. I've seen people dig up jars of coins and stuff in the weirdest spots, and you just think, what the heck was this doing here? Well, there could have been a house there, could have been this there, could have been a million things. those time capsules. I found a couple of those, and my dad had buried them again. Just like somebody buries an old lunchbox, the old metal lunch boxes with stuff in it. I usually just put them back. I figure out okay, this is something that it's their little treasure, so I just put it back. But you do find others, stuff that's actually coinage and stuff like that has been buried, especially out west. I mean, all these gold towns, all these ghost towns and stuff. I mean, I'm sure there's stuff been buried around there that they didn't want anybody else to find on them or whatever. They hide their little loot somewhere, their little gold nuggets and stuff, and then something happens and they don't make it back. It's still there. It's just a matter of trying to find it, being lucky enough to find it, get your coil over it. But how many times did that happen? The Great Depression, people didn't believe in banks. Back then, they thought the banks were going to take all their money and stuff, so they started hoarding money and burying money here and there, putting it in walls and everything else. I mean, you hear stories every once in a while, people doing renovations and finding, $50,000 in the walls, paper money, stuff like that, or coinage down in the, under the floorboards and stuff. It's out there to be found. You just, live outside the box, think like they would. I love going through old houses. We used to help out, tearing down some of these houses around here, and I used to love going in. Let me go in there the day before you guys do that. Let me look around. And I don't always find something, but you do find some neat stuff. You start looking at like around the fireplaces and stuff like that, or up in the attic, and I'm not going to talk about the story because there was a lot of stuff found, but it was family stuff, so we don't want to talk about family stuff on here. But it was Civil War stuff up in an attic that you couldn't get to from inside the house. You had to come from the outside of the house and go through the vent. There was like a big vent on the side of the, up by the peak. And we went up in there and just found all kinds of, like those old foot lockers and stuff, Craig, like the steamer chests, filled with stuff, man. It blew your mind, but it wasn't metal detecting, but it was, it was like treasure hunting. It was like something different. You find stuff in the weirdest spots sometimes. But yeah, as far as
I met this black guy that cleaned houses right before they went to start renovating and stuff. Mm-hmm. And he worked for this guy that I went to school with, and he saw me metal detecting in the yard, and came over, and I showed him like a couple Mercury dimes I'd found.
Yeah.
And so he was, oh, that's pretty cool. He said, I just found a 1809 $50. And I said, really? You metal detecting? He goes, oh, no, I've never had a metal detector. So he would go up underneath like the radiators and stuff and clean all that stuff out. And he said he'd found diamond rings, gold rings, all kinds of coins. And then he said, like, on the windowsill on a lot of these houses in the front, if you take the board up on the bottom, there's like a little slat. There'll be a coin under there, and it'll be the same date as the house.
Yeah, yeah.
And my brother has a railing in his house that had a large cent, place for a large cent on it.
Yeah, check the fireplace hearth too, or whatever around the. It's not. I've heard stories down here about them putting a silver dollar in behind as good luck or whatever for the house when they built the house. That was supposed to be another
and there
thing.
might be a stone, that you can take out that has a little chamber behind it, in the fireplace. I've heard about that too.
You never found anything in your house, Craig? Your old house?
No.
Oh, okay. I just figured with the carriage house there and everything, I always thought you'd find something in there when you were moving out, like you hadn't noticed before or something. Never knew if you did.
No, my dad would have found it.
Yeah.
It's like the house was built in 1905.
Oh, okay. I thought it was a little bit older than that. Looked a little older than that.
This house I'm in now is 1880, but it has 3 fireplaces, but they're all enclosed in the walls, so you don't even know they're here except you can see the chimneys outside.
Yeah, I actually hunted a spot up in Indiana, friends of ours owned, and it was actually said to. They found some stuff, but Johnny Appleseed actually supposedly stayed there. He wouldn't stay in the house. He always stayed in the barn. And it's been in the family for a lot of years. That's the only reason why we have this story. But they were actually doing a renovation, and they found a fireplace. It was walled up. You didn't even know it was, the way they built it, you couldn't even tell there was a fireplace there. They tore the wall out, and here's this fireplace, and they even had the fireplace tools until they just put a wall in front of it. So everything was just like it, whenever they covered it up, I don't know how many years ago. They said it had to have been before 1900 because they, somebody would have said something about there being a fireplace in there, but somehow they had it ducked into the main fireplace stack. I don't know how they did it, but anyways, yeah, I saw that. I thought it was really cool. I actually found some really neat stuff in the yard and stuff. I never really got a chance to hunt it quite a bit, like for more than one or two times, but I did find a lot of like Indian head pennies and clock parts, like the pocket watch and clock parts, like the keys for the grandfather clocks and baby grandfather clocks and stuff. I found a lot of those. Old printing press stuff too, like the letters. There were some made out of copper. I think I have them around here somewhere. I didn't know they used copper for printing presses. I thought it was like wood. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't know. I don't know a lot about printing presses back then, but these were actually copper or brass little letters and stuff. I found those in the yard too. Just never know what you're going to dig out there. But yeah, this is just north of Fort Wayne, Indiana, when I lived up that way. And I always wanted to get out in the fields and stuff, but he always had them planted. It seemed like I could never get into the field because I figured for sure there's going to be some, stuff out there. But that was Fisher C. West. He was actually we went to California and made himself rich. There's a whole story behind it. But then he went to Australia and worked the gold fields of Australia and made a second fortune there. Came back to Fort Wayne and built the house in, was it 1825 or something like that? And they found oil on there or natural gas, one of the two. I can't remember what they were saying now, but yeah, it was a whole story that went behind this house, and it was like a brick home with a widow's watch, like you'd see on the East Coast. The neatest looking house, but it was, obviously worse for the wear. They were trying to restore it and everything, but just a beautiful home anyways. Farm, it was run as a farm for the last 150 years anyways. But yeah, there's probably all kinds of goodies in there. Fort White, I always liked Indiana, Ohio area. You guys have some good area up there, all the old schoolhouses and stuff like that. Pennsylvania is another one too. When we hunted up in Horsham, Pennsylvania for the Historical Society, that was a pretty cool hunt, Craig. We found a lot of stuff up there too. So I could see I think we were 25 miles from Philadelphia or something like that. I think that's what that sign said, or that marker.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you just get, this hobby takes you everywhere. It seems like if you want to go, I see a couple of these guys are truck drivers and salesmen. I'd be loading that metal detector up in my truck and getting on Facebook when I go through town. I'm going to get laid over for 2 or 3 days. I'd be calling my Facebook friends and say, hey, let's go out metal detecting. It could be anywhere in the United States. Shoot. Oh, shoot. But, yeah, I'm going to try to get out this week. Oh, by the way, guys, I did have to cut the show, leave pretty abruptly. It was, well, you get a phone call and the phone call's breaking up and all you can hear is, I need your help. And, well, that came through, and I'm like, okay, I got to go. So it turned out to be a false alarm, but, it just sounded weird. Got to love cell phone coverage, Craig. But, to let you get out something like that, but not that we're okay kind of thing. So I had to kind of take off early. I don't normally, this is the first time I've ever had to do that, I think. But, yeah, gut feeling was wrong, thank goodness. So, hey, when you live around a lot of family, you got to watch out for them, right? So. But
watch out both ways.
Yeah, both ways. Yeah, sometimes. Yeah, we got some tough family members down here now. But yeah, it's all good. Yeah, I just don't normally do that, but I just it just was kind of weird the way that all happened. But yeah, if I didn't do it, then something would have happened, right? So. But yeah, I'm gonna try to get out this weekend. Like I said, I want to get over there and really put this Quest Pro through some live hunt situation, see what it does literally. I know it'll hit these targets. I think I was hitting a dime at 9 inches with it, with not really too much problem at all. So I kind of want to see what it does with an item that's been in the ground for 50 years or more. When I used it at the beach for a little bit, it did well. I didn't really go down to the wet sand because it was so packed up in there. But the dry sand. Mom hit got one of those rivets from the lawn chairs of this big, the cabana chairs or whatever. They punch a rivet through to hold the thing together with that piece of aluminum come out. It's about the size of a stud earring. And that Quest 40 hit it. And I was like, wow, okay, that's different. Didn't expect that either. Usually, it was picking it up. I was taking scoops out of the ground. I think it fell out and landed back in the hole. I must say it was about 4 inches down, but I mean, it's hard to tell, but it did hit it real nice. So I was like, wow, okay, that's different. And I knew it was there. I couldn't even pinpoint the thing for a while. And it's like, oh, okay, there it is finally. And I thought it was going to be like just a piece of, that pipe that, we call it, they pump the sand in, with it, the dredge pipe, the insides of that. But it wasn't. It was actually a piece of, little dot of aluminum, about the size of a stud earring. And it went right off on it. That Quest 40 has got some potential, buddy. I'll tell you, that's a good first detector for somebody. You know what I mean? For the price, heck, that thing has a lot of functions on it. But I let her use that, and she didn't do too bad at all. I just got to tell her not to be so literal about it. I had to explain stuff a little bit better to her because she goes out with me detecting, but she likes to dig up the targets. That's her favorite thing. Up until now, I think I gave her the bug because she's already called me twice this week to say, well, when it stops raining, are we going to go detecting? So I found my new hunting buddy. But yeah, she had fun with that. I have to get some videos done of these detectors. I think they're pretty interesting myself. So, but let's see here. Good old Fort Wayne truck stop, which is a pilot now. Yeah, no doubt, Jason. And that truck stop right there in Fort Wayne used to be a rough son of a gun about 20 years ago, let me tell you. Oh, gosh. Yeah, Fort Wayne's a different... I like Fort Wayne. Yeah, it's a different kind of town. But there's a lot of stuff to do there, though, Craig. That's kind of neat, They have a lot of stuff to go. A lot of history around there. As a matter of fact, in the Coliseum right there is where the gravesite of Johnny Appleseed is actually. He's buried right there, so that's kind of cool too. I guess he used to travel between Pittsburgh or wherever he was. Well, he used to go through Fort Wayne, but he was. I guess he went from Pittsburgh to Fort Wayne and back or something like that a couple times. But they weren't really sure where he stayed at. And then there was talk of this house, the same house I was talking about earlier, being part of the Underground Railroad, because it would have fit into the time frame, I guess. And they never did. I was hoping to find something to prove that. That'd have been kind of cool to be able to prove that it was part of that. But it's, I wouldn't even begin to know how to do that part of it, other than just finding stuff that related to it. I mean, that's about the only way you could do it, isn't it, Craig? I don't know.
Yeah, well. Like my brother's barn up in New Jersey was part of the Underground Railroad, and it has like a hidden doorway that is like receipts. It's not in where you would think a doorway would be,
right?
And it's kind of short, and you kind of have to step down and then go sideways, and then it's pretty wild. But they were real close to the to a border to another county,
right,
back then. And the guy that owned the property was a Quaker businessman, and Quakers, a lot of them were, helping the slaves on the Underground Railroad. And so he would wait for, to a certain point, usually at night, and they would come out of the barn, and then he would get them right to the border to the next county to get them over the side, and if anybody came, he would try to hold them off till they got across. But it's pretty. They got a whole, town has a lot of records on all that stuff.
Right.
Another funny thing was back then they started. They had a tax on windows or glass. If you had glass in your house, like windows and stuff, then you got taxed on it. This house had glass doors. They started putting in glass doors to show their wealth.
Right.
The,
Why did they ever say why they did that?
I can afford it.
Glass tax. Give me a break. They were bad even back then.
Yeah.
Rain tax, glass tax, breathing
Sure,
tax, air tax. We're going to get hit with that next. Air tax. You got to pay.
I mean, the king always had taxes going back to
true. Yeah.
I mean, they probably had taxes ever since they invented money.
Yeah. Oh, they did. Yeah. I just think it's comical, glass tax, rain tax. I mean, the next thing you know, you breathe, you have to pay tax. You're breathing in air. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw the fuel prices going up, and I was like, oh my gosh, we're at, I think, $2.88 a gallon now. I mean, that's probably lower than a lot of the places in the U.S. I don't know, but I don't know. What's it running by you, Craig? Because Virginia's usually kind of high.
I don't know what it was this week, but last week I got gas. It was $2.59.9 for regular.
You're doing good then. You're actually less than us. I didn't expect this before Memorial Day to go up like that because it went from like $1.52, or sorry, $2.52. Then the next day it was up to like $2.75. Now it's $2.88 or something like that. Come on, I just rather just knock it up to $3 and be done with it. I mean, just quit moving it around so much because it never fails, man. I'll get fuel in Pauline's vehicle for her. That's what I'll get mine tomorrow. I go back tomorrow and it's 20 cents higher, seems like, or something. I just start filling up gas again.
It's going to go to 3 and then probably up to 4.
Yeah,
before it starts coming back down.
Yeah, somebody broke it.
They played these games so much in the past.
Somebody broke a valve at a refinery. Now everybody has to pay. No, I'm joking. This is all about politics.
I think a lot of this is OPEC.
It's politics. Yeah.
All they have is gas, or oil to sell.
Yeah.
So.
They said the price went up on oil and stuff, but it's all political kind of stuff. I just figured they would try to lower the price before Memorial Day. Would have been nice so people could maybe do some traveling a little bit, but a few pennies more, I guess. But let's see how that all goes and how it pans. I hope it doesn't go to $4 a gallon. I mean, that was crazy when it did it the last time. A lot of, I think even when I had my own expediting business at the time, and when they raised it in '05 or whatever, they started really jacking it up. I think it was, maybe '04. I don't know. It went up to like $4 and some cents a gallon down here.
Yeah.
And it's like, God, man, it put so many people out of business. Then we were getting fuel surcharges, and it just made so much more paperwork as a driver, as an owner-operator. Man, I was like, crazy. Because then you had to start figuring that in as what you're making, and then you get a fuel surcharge on top of it, if you were lucky enough to get one of those and offered. But it put a lot of companies out of business. They were going out so fast it wasn't funny. I just don't want to see that happen again.
Lifetime was, I think it was 1978, 79.
Oh, yeah, that fiasco.
That oil embargo, and
yeah.
all of a sudden you had to wait in line, and it was odd even based on your last number on your license plate.
Yeah.
On when you could go to get gas, and you could only get 8 gallons at a time.
Yep. Yeah, Pauline's family, they used to do a lot of racing, street racing and stuff like that.
2 hours. The lines would be so big. And then sometimes you get up close, and they'd run out of gas. And people were ready to kill people.
Oh, yeah. Well, Pauline remembers when she was younger that her brother, Pauline's the youngest of 13, so between, half sisters and everything else. So she's the baby of the family on that generation. And she can remember going up with like a brother or sister, whatever, getting a 5-gallon can of unleaded or leaded fuel, whatever, and then the next family member would go in there and get, whatever, because they could all get enough fuel together so that her brother could go racing on Saturday night. He used to race dirt track racing and stuff like that, and that's how they got their fuel for the race car. They had to each go in there and get a couple of gallons here and there or whatever. That's how I remember her talking about that. I don't remember us having. I don't know. My parents never even really mentioned that. They didn't talk a lot about that kind of stuff in front of us kids when we were that. Because I was only like 8 years old or something like that, so we didn't know the hardships. We were poor, but we didn't know it. So, or at least the kids didn't know. We thought we were rich. So,
yeah,
But
yeah, I was asking somebody, and they go, "We didn't know we were poor. Everybody was."
Yeah, everybody was poor. But I see it now where it's like I was talking about the kids. My Felicia's kids, boys. They're 3 to 11, 12 years old. But she raises them like that. She raises them like she was raised. She goes, they think they're rich, but they're not. Obviously she's not making a ton of money, but she's raised them right, and they go outside and play like we used to. She goes, they do everything I used to do. When you got home from school, you had a snack, you went out and played until mom called you in for dinner. Not sit behind and play video games all day, that kind of thing. So she, those boys have a really good attitude, I guess. Just by the way they're being raised with good morals and stuff like that. And, it's kind of nice to see. And then you see the kids the same age, 2 doors down, that are running amok and causing all kinds of problems and stuff, It's just how you raise them, I guess. I don't know. But they're good kids. They're just really getting hyped up about metal detecting. I'm probably going to have to go out metal detecting with them this weekend, or at least take a detector over there and show them how to use it, let them play for a couple days, because they're really. Every time I stop by there, or me and Pauline stop by there, or whatever, it doesn't matter. Well, hey, did you bring the metal detector? And I told Felicia, I said, I think I've created a couple monsters here. She goes, yeah, that's all I'm hearing. I know what I'm buying for Christmas this year. Metal detectors for everybody. I said, you're going to be the metal detecting family. I said, but what else? I mean, boys playing in the dirt, heck yeah. They're all in for it. But they live right there by the river. And I told her, I said, all that, the area up around there and everything, you just don't know what's in the ground. I'm finding weird stuff all the time. So they may have some really good luck. Who knows? But they also, do the lawn mowing or helping out with the neighbors and stuff like that. I said, well, you guys will have, ask your neighbor. They got that field right there, and, then you can ask them if you can metal detect that. And they'll probably let you. So maybe they'll have some good luck. I hope they do. And they have some fun with it. But I remember when I was that age, if I found a penny, I was happy. You know what I mean? You just felt laying on the ground. So they're still young enough. At least maybe not the 12-year-old, but the 8-year-old. Yeah, he's pretty happy about finding anything on the ground. So, well, shoot. But I guess we'll maybe wrap it up for tonight, guys. It's almost 10 o'clock here. Another good show, I think. I don't know. I had fun. So I think Craig did. But I see all the chat on here. I've been trying to keep track of the chat, and boy, what you guys are just throwing out those chats pretty fast, or I couldn't keep up with them all the time, but I tried to. But, Bill Marsh is on tonight, and Jason Julian, sorry. Well, I couldn't find my mouse there. Ken Gerthery. Sorry, buddy, if I'm messing up your name. He's on chat. I saw a couple more on here. Hang on, let me pan back down through here. Oh, Barbara's on tonight. Sorry, Barbara, I didn't see you jump on there. Nelson Sauter's on tonight on chat. FYR Fighter. Frighter? I don't know. I'm butchering your name, brother, but glad for you to be on the chat line tonight and listening in. And Jaron's been on tonight. Erie from Virginia. A couple of Bob D's been on tonight. And I think that's maybe a few more in there. If I didn't get your name, I'm sorry about that. But thank you for being on and being on the chat line. Guys, tell a friend. We really don't advertise at all or anything. If you have a friend that likes metal detecting or thinking about getting into it, just let them know about the show. There's several other metal detecting shows on Spreaker also. And a lot of other genres, hobbies and stuff like that on there. So plenty of stuff to listen to. We're on every Thursday night at 8 p.m. and Saturday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. And I think we're going to be getting into the point now where it's summertime. Everybody's going to be out hunting and stuff like that. But we're still going to be doing the shows like we always have done, Thursday and Saturday night. We might even throw a couple surprise shows in there. I've been thinking about doing that every once in a while, just throwing a show in somewhere. And at least you'll be able to catch it on the replays or whatever. You can get it on the archive shows. And you're welcome to download our shows if you want to and listen to them in the car on the way to work or whatever. You can just download them right onto your smartphone or onto your iPad or whatever you got right there. It's pretty easy to do. You can get right on Spreaker and do that. And it gives you a chance to hear some of the other shows, too, because we can't all catch these. There's, Craig, a Relic Roundup on Mondays, All Metal Mode on Mondays, History Seekers on Tuesdays. That's with Heath Jones. Beyond Sight and Sound with Josh Kimmel. And then you have Relic Radio, and that's with Digging with Sevens and Tennessee Jeff. They're on. I think they were on before us or whatever on Thursday night. And I'm not sure what goes on Friday. Is anybody doing a Friday show, Craig? I can't remember. But anyway.
I don't think so. I think Friday's kind of a weird night to do.
Yeah.
I think they got some people doing Saturday and Sunday, aren't they?
Yeah, sporadically. I think All Metal Mode does one on Sunday sometimes, and we do. Yeah. Anyway, it's on there. You guys can check it out. You'll see their schedule and stuff like that. And they're pretty good about putting it up on their Facebook pages and stuff. But yeah, check them out. It's some good listening time. Good topics to listen to. You have some shows that are kind of weird, but hey, the other, you get into some of these vaping shows, and they even have rock channels and like regular DJ
podcasting
music.
is getting huge. It's just growing and growing.
It's getting crazy.
Businesses are hooking it up, to advertise and stuff, their products, and so it's.
Well, I'm getting confused on.
It's definitely a growing medium.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to see them, have something where you could do videos also off of it.
That'd be kind of cool too. Yeah, I should be able to. I'm going to check into that because I've been thinking about doing that too, including in our archives. Maybe some shows where we talk about a video and we can actually post it up and talk about it, on the show, and have it come in so you can pull it up on your smartphone like that. It'd be a good way to do a show too. You can have a little bit of visual, and discussing what goes on when somebody goes on a hunt or something. I have to check into that. It'd be kind of a neat idea. Oh, you never know where this hobby is going to lead you into, or any of these hobbies really opens up a lot of doors for you, and you just have to have some imagination. And if you have a good idea, man, go with it. What's the worst that could happen? It ain't going to work. Oh, well, you had fun doing it. That's the way I always looked at it. So, if you can, get some friends together and do a show, or heck, do your own show. You can do that on Spreaker.com. You can start up your own radio podcast show. And if it's something you like doing or you feel comfortable doing it, you can expand it out pretty much however you want to do it. I mean, they have different plans for everybody. I think they even have a free plan. I think it gives you 15 or 20 minutes, and then you have to shut down and restart up. But it gives you an idea of what it's like to do your own show. If that's something you're interested in.
I had a weird thing that happened today that, and it happened with all kinds of different mediums. There's some kind of EU copyright laws or laws or something, and I had to sign into Spreaker and agree to these conditions, whatever they are.
And I had to do it on my side too, Craig. When I tried to start the show,
I had to do it on Google. I had to do it on my email, on Google. I don't know what else. I don't know if I had to on Facebook or not.
CYO.
Remember?
CYA syndrome. Cover your own butt.
Well, they don't have much. They don't have much free speech over in Europe. That's the trouble over there.
Well, the thing that gets me about these things, that you have to accept or not or deny. If you deny, obviously you can't. Probably, I wouldn't be able to do the show if I didn't. But or you have to agree to it. These things. I mean, I've been getting hit with them not only through Spreaker, through my Yahoo Mail, and I haven't got one from Gmail yet. But a lot of these, and I think it's all because of the Facebook thing. Am I right, Craig? This is why this is coming up now. This privacy thing, or they're writing
the privacy, the fact that Facebook and Google are monopolizing all the advertising money.
Right.
Nobody else can. They got 90%, and everybody else has got nothing. They basically need an antitrust thing.
Right.
I think but that's what EU is doing. They're basically putting their own form of an antitrust on them over there.
Right. It's getting confusing. That's what I don't like about it.
I don't trust the EU at all.
Yeah.
Because they have a mess going on over there. But
it's a mess everywhere. Really, I think it's a mess everywhere.
Yeah.
I just don't know what to, it's like when you get on Facebook and people are, they send you a friend request or something like that, and half of them are these bimbets or whatever what they're doing, but you ignore. But how many of these people? Because we have a lot of listeners, a lot of hobbyists around the world, from
mm-hmm.
Germany and Japan and just all these different countries, and the translation thing is what gets me sometimes. I can't. If I don't recognize somebody in their friends list, at all, then I just don't know who they are. So I have to kind of look them up to see if it's somebody. Obviously if I see metal detecting stuff on their page or fines or something, it's like, oh, no problem. Okay, friend them. But if you don't, that's when you start wondering, okay, who is this person? Or is this just another scam? Is it?
I get a fair amount that have no profile picture. I just spam it. It's the first thing I do. I don't care if it's spam or not. If they don't have a profile picture, what the heck are they doing?
Well, yeah. But you have a lot of new people to the hobby too that don't know how to do it.
Is they said he wants, and then you see a picture of a woman, and you go, wait a minute, is this him or is this what's going on? And it's usually the hoochie mamas, fight, So,
well, and I don't like to, but it's so prevalent, man. It's like I go through this thing and I have, I don't know, I'm going to say 20 or 30 a day, and
I get probably, I don't know, 5 or 10 a day now.
Yeah, and you don't know you don't want to bring somebody in that's going to steal a contact list or whatever the heck they're doing. I'm not into computers that much to know what
it is I found out sometimes you have 1 or 2 mutual friends, and they're the ones that are doing it. And most of them are from Eastern Europe and Russia.
Yeah, I get a lot of people from.
So what I do is I unfriend them, but they just keep seeming to come back. And a lot of them, they're sneaky. They'll once they get you, then they get a whole bunch of other people that are friends of yours, that metal detect and everything. And then all of a sudden those people think, oh, well, yeah, it's okay because I see all these guys that are my friends.
Mm. Well, it upsets me because it's like, okay, normally I wouldn't have to worry about that if I see somebody that obviously may be new to the hobby. If you're going to start up a Facebook page or whatever, just put a couple pictures of, like some of your finds, your metal detector, something, so that when we spot that, even if you're from another country, if you're listening to the show here, we have a lot of people listen from Germany and from Australia and Japan and all that stuff. Put some pictures up there so that we can physically see that, even if we're not reading everything and translating everything. Because I don't want to. Wow, Morgan doesn't like me. He's screaming. But anyways,
he's talking about he wants treats.
Oh, okay. I know it's treat time. You just have to wait for a few more minutes. No, but no, I mean, you just don't know who to friend because you don't want to, cause problems for other people too. But you don't want to get screwed up yourself. So you're kind of being real. If you're not being real selective, you should be. Only because you don't know who these people are, but you don't want to, cut somebody out that really legitimately wants to be on the page or whatever. So it's been, if I have cut you, put another friend request in, just put a message to me and say, hey, you didn't accept my friend request or whatever, and I'll accept it then. I mean, I get clicking and how it is. You click, and all of a sudden you take one out that you didn't want to. You wanted to, make a friend. So don't hate me for it. I'm just trying to be careful. So, I mean, I got my tech team, but I don't think they really know what's going on with all this stuff too. What they're capable of doing, what some of these shady people are able to do. So,
yeah, it's like people come up with all kinds. I mean, they keep evolving on how they try to get a hook on you.
Yeah, right.
Through the Facebook is, Facebook figures out one thing and then they do something else.
It gets nuts.
I've even had joining groups, and it's somebody asks to join this group, and it's the same thing. They're doing it through a group,
right?
So,
yeah, I see Paul Paul's on here tonight too. Sorry, I didn't see his name. I was going down through the list again. But at any rate, guys, before I wrap it up, Craig, for tonight, and guys, thanks for listening. Tell a friend. Make sure you like and follow the show and everything. We appreciate it. And I think, Craig, we're about ready to pop 16,000 followers now. So I think we're doing pretty doggone good. I never expected that many people to like the show or whatever, have fun with the show. On my one download list, I think it downloaded the show or something like that 54,000 times. It's crazy. I don't know why I'm getting different readings on that. I do it from this end right here on my channel, or whatever you want to call it, the show, and I get like 38,000 or something like that, or I can't remember now off the top of my head. But then I go to my cell phone, which I've done shows from my cell phone too, and it pops up there like 50 some thousand. I was like, holy cow! I didn't even, I guess it's because they're pulling it from so many different media areas, and it doesn't always get clicked in right. But yeah, it seems to be doing really good. A lot of the other shows are doing good too. So we all thank you. If they don't say it, I do. Thank you for listening, and we enjoy you guys being on here, and we'll be keep on doing these shows, man. We have fun with it. So we'll see you next time. Be Saturday night show. Hopefully, maybe I'll get out detecting before then. I don't know with the rain coming and everything, but I'm sure going to try. You guys do the same. Get out there, keep digging, and God bless.